This morning we're going to put on a lecture slash demonstration on four hands. Now, I need to give you a little history. Four hands is what we use to teach essentially the Chinese art of Chi Sao. When I was taught Chi Sao, I also realized how bad I was at it. And even after practicing what I thought was a lot of years, I was horrible. I just really could not keep up to many students. And the problem I found out wasn't just that I couldn't duplicate moves. The problem was that I just didn't intellectually be able to break down what subsets of skills you needed to do to be able to work on the problems I had. Mostly just not being able to flow. And unless you can flow and have good sensitivity, you're never going to be good at Chi Sao. You're just not going to be. Now, Chi Sao is, depending on which style you go on, it's interpreted everything from sticky hands to falling in to take it what you want. It's the way of deflecting and overcoming using the force of the attack on somebody. So there's a lot of similarity all the way from Wing Chun to Tai Chi to even what we do, but we call it a different name. We basically took those techniques, those skills in Chi Sao, and broke them apart. We broke them apart into essentially three skills and then added the push hands as a separate skill with definite modifications of push hands so that we gave students a way to work on one subset of skills at a time, that when they put them all together, they would basically hopefully have the full, complete set. And they could learn it dramatically faster than the 20 or 30 years it takes you to get really good otherwise. So we broke them apart, and the names we used were sword hands, heavy hands. We use the name sticky hands, although that's been used in many styles and different meanings. But you'll find a lot of similarity between our sticky hands and other people, but you'll also see a lot of differences. And then, of course, push hands, which you'll also see dramatic differences at. In all cases, these four hands are not designed to be competition, nor are they designed, in training at least, to beat the squat out of your partner. They're designed to be cooperative efforts, and that's important. In order to really get good, you need to cooperate and work with your partner, not try to smack them around. However, these exact skills can instantaneously be changed to the street and just totally decimate somebody, especially when you put all four of them together. Yeah, you have quite a skill set. If you add this on top of your other martial arts, you have horrendous tools that you can use to enhance anything you've already learned. Okay, but like I said, the terms sword hands and heavy hands are unique. Not that they've not been used before, but they're unique in this definition to Quan. So I always find it interesting when somebody comes up to me, yeah, I understand sword hands. I've been doing sword hands, and they go to try to explain to me, and there's no clue. They have no clue what I'm talking about. Perhaps they're referring completely to something different. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just tend to claim a lot of things that they don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, it gets down to this. I'm going to show you these skill sets one at a time, and I'm going to show you the basic level. I will make references to some of the advanced stuff, but the advanced techniques are actually going to require a whole separate lecture, and it'll probably require at least a lecture per skill set. But I'm going to put all four of them on DVD tape here today, so that you can get a basic that you can start work with, because truly it's a question of practice. Intellectually you can look at this thing in 30 seconds and say, oh yeah, I can do that. But there's a horrendous difference when you get with a partner and try things. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get somebody who's not been subject to our thing. John, do you mind? If I take one of our students, unfortunately they're already doing the things that I want them to do and not do. And I know you have not done this, so I don't expect you to be quote-unquote good at it, okay? Just want you to cooperate, which basically just put up one hand, okay? I'm going to put it on the inside. Now, what's important, I'm going to turn you around just a little bit like this, in sword hands, is that you are going to leave your elbow straight. You can bend your wrist. You definitely will bend your shoulder, but you want to have the least force possible in your hand, and then you want to react. So if you come push towards me, instead of me holding it like resistance, like I'm going to bend. Now my backhand comes up here. So if you come at me and you push, I can come in and I can bring it around, and I can trade hands and come around. Okay? So the object is to deflect force, not to hold force. And in fact, when I tell my students you should stand like you got tacks in your heels of your feet, because in your toes you can't possibly have resistance force. If I push on you and you're flat-footed, you got a lot of resistance. But if you come up on your toes, then you notice you start falling. Okay? So what I want you to do is that when you move, and we're going to move around in a circle, I want you to try and keep your backhand up, so you can trade if you want to, but then I want you to not have force. So instead of resisting me, I want you to try and deflect around. So if I pushed at you, your right shoulder would go back. Just rotate this way, and just bring this hand all the way around there. Now, as I came in, you got your other hand if you wanted to block or trade, but you can see you can deflect me around this way, okay? For example, come at me like here. All right, come at my hand. All right, there, coming around, and you can see that my hand would be in your face. In sword hands, it's important not to bend your elbow. Now, would you do that in the street? Of course not. You'd bend your elbow and you'd put all the force you could, any way you could. But what happens in sword hand, by not bending your elbow, you force your body to turn. If I give you an example, Adam, you don't mind? If you don't bend your elbow, that forces you, as I come forward on him, see, he deflects it, not by bending his elbow and collapsing in, although he will do that in heavy hands or stick hand. But in sword hands, the trick is to learn how to move around it, deflect him. You see that backhand come up? If I try to get him, now straighten out your elbow, don't cheat on him, okay? That backhand basically covers it so I can't come in on him. And this makes a very, very excellent skill, not just for somebody punching, but if I try to come at him with a knife, see the deflection, we talked about that before? Notice that the hand is there all the time. If I tried to stab him underneath, it wouldn't make a difference. Come back here, he's got his hand there. Nothing I can do to that. But there's no real tension in his hand. I mean, there's nothing there to prevent me to move it around. But as soon as I move, I can't do anything that he can't feel. Now, I will give you one trick that you can try. It really does help when you're first learning, and that is close your eyes. You get so used to looking at things that you think you have to have the sensory input from your eyes. In fact, sword hands should happen so fast, and it will, that before you can see me moving, you've already felt me moving, and you'll already react. Notice he's not grabbing with the hands. Later on, skill set he will, but right now he's not. If I come across, he's got the other hand. Other backhand stays in there, okay? Again, and if he comes at me, so this makes a really good technique. If somebody punches at you, you've got really nice ability. Now you notice a little bit of advanced technique because you look where my right foot is. Okay? This makes it a very advanced technique, and anybody at this point can take it to any technique you like. But what I did was I extended the ability from the top to the bottom by basically locking his position. We talked in other seminars about breaking balance. I guarantee you, once I step on your foot and make you turn, I've taken away your balance. It doesn't have to be so big as to throw you. You're in definite trouble. So again, I'm going to have you partner up here, but the object is don't try and smack each other. This is not an object of trying to reach in there and smack. Instead, it's an object of learning how to turn, how to deflect force. And he comes back at me, and I'm going to turn around. I could have turned this way. There is no right way except the fact that you don't put force. And he reaches up there and pulls down on my hand. You'll notice, you'll notice there's just no tension on it. Okay? It's not like I'm going to sit there and resist. No, he basically just collapses away from me. There's no force in the back of his heels of his foot. So again, think about there being an attack. Keep your elbows straight and deflect energy rather than to try and hold it, take it, or resist it, okay? No, there is not a definite attacker and offender. You are simultaneously both. Okay? So come try this. Okay, listen to me 1 second here. It's not that there's some sort of rules that you're breaking. It's just that you're actually cheating yourself if you bend your elbow. The reason for that is that when you don't bend your elbow, you have to move your body out of the way. It's not that you just deflect and collapse in and move your hand. What I'm trying to do is set up a skill set of you learning to move your whole body out of the way of the force. If you let your elbow bend, then you tend not to have to move your body. You tend to not to have to twist around. And yes, that's very good, and we will work on that in other hand sets. But right now, I'm trying to get you to be flowing and loose and not hold your ground. Instead, you deflect things around by moving your whole body out of the way. If you can't hit my body, okay, punch me, please, then it's really hard to hit me. Punch, please. Okay? And it doesn't take much. Later on, as you get in a short hand punch, please, you'll take even less moves. You won't be way over here, and you won't be front weighted. You'll be center weighted, but you'll still rotate and stuff. You'll have the person well controlled. So the point again, you're cheating yourself if you are just trying to smack your opponent or you let your elbow bend. It's not a, well, you lost points because. It has nothing to do with that. This is a cooperative exercise so that you can learn how to deflect force. Okay? Try it. Make sense? Dave? Come on, put your hand up. All right, let me tell you some reality facts here. I know that a lot of people are used to force on force. And I know that a lot of people are far more physically powerful than I am. I'm not even going to pretend otherwise. But the truth is, no matter how physically powerful you are, I can, just simply because I'm using your force, come around at me, I can beat you. Okay? There's just nothing you can do simply because I'm relaxing. And I'm going to beat you at your own game. And anybody who's trained in sword hands can do that. Because the tighter you are, the slower you are. The looser you are, the faster you are. So I'm saying that it is hard to make the transition from force on force to deflection, which you have to be really soft and collapsing. But that's exactly what this is trying to do, to teach you. Now, when you first start, come on, okay, you're going to find everybody, just stay with me, push on my hand. It's going to be pretty much nice and big and symmetrical, and your turns are all timing-wise, you know, nice and smooth. When you get advanced, please don't worry about this now, but Adam, come here a second. You will completely change from symmetrical to asymmetrical. You notice how my movements are inside and outside, not just outside, everybody, but the timing is different. It's not, and I'm not even really trying to hit him. I'm just pushing on him, and as he pushes on me, the same thing happens. Okay? I could be inside, I can be outside, I can step on the inside. Yep, and then he pushed. See how he dropped his butt? So I'm telling you, in advanced techniques, sword hand is not just this swinging arm. It's your whole body, dropping, trading, asymmetrical, inside, outside, taking. If I step on his foot, as I can, he'll step back down, push, and pop me back off. So it actually gets very complicated. And again, I will go through all the advanced stuff in a completely separate lecture because it is quite detailed. And it's a skill set that does take some time, but I'll guarantee you it's worth it. But even at the basic level, try not to be just out here and standing still, because it's not about that. It's about moving, okay? Changing, okay? Staying in contact, feeling his hand. Again, you can close your eyes, and if he comes at me, I had my eyes completely closed the whole time. I'm not awake, you know, I'm just not watching anything he does. And I have no problem staying with him. And this is a good exercise. Even when I brought a second hand up, noticed I caught it. My eyes have not been open on this. And honestly, I encourage you to try that. It's not a game. What it does is it shows you that it's the sensitivity of touching. In fact, all styles know that when I get a hand on an opponent, you can feel everything he's going to do. This is that. This is that sensitivity. I'm just teaching you a set of tools to enhance it and also deflect at the same time. Okay? Try it again, please. I'll tell you one thing. Do not do it with your fingertips. Try and get your forearm involved, your wrist to your arm, not your fingertips. This is not about catching your fingertips. We'll do that when we do sticky hands. Okay? Okay.
Think of very few people do Tai Chi is that speed in the beginning.
Adam makes a very good point that when you're starting, it's just like Tai Chi. It's that slow. It's that intent. It's not fast. It's not destructive. Think of Tai Chi and you'll be fine. But try and move your whole body. Step. Try and step to decrease the force. Please. Okay? He comes at me, and it's very typical. There's big steps around. Okay? As you get more and more advanced, as he steps, I'm just going to turn slightly, and I'm back there. Now, as I push on him, you don't see this big step around the circle out here. It just takes too much time. But instead, I get this small turn. And it doesn't matter whether I'm pushing from the inside or pushing to the outside. Again, it's a twist rather than a big step around. Can you hear that noise? Oh, good. Okay, so again, please don't bend your elbow to collapse. Instead, move your shoulder, but you collapse by twisting your hips and just bringing it over there. Okay? Your backhand always comes into play. It's always protection. Okay? So always get in I won't say bad habit, get in the good habit, keeping your backhand up. Okay. Evidently the sound system's still working okay. Try that one more time, and we'll move on, okay? Oh, one of the comments we just made is that fights don't start like this. Well, actually, fights do... Come here. Say, fights do start like this, okay? Let me grab a second, okay? Now, let's say if somebody grabs you like that, bringing your right hand up on the outside here, there's absolutely nothing I can do to you that you don't already have command. So this is this, okay? You may have a drink in your backhand. You don't even want to spill it. The price of stuff nowadays, I can understand. So all I have to do is just try to move towards you, and you rotate, and you're in a great position. I'm horrible position. You know, Mr. Mach was trying to, yeah, boom. It ain't going to happen. You got your hand already here. You can feel it. You can close your eyes and say, yeah, you can't touch me. And just rotate. Just rotate that shoulder. You're in a great position. Welcome to sticky hands. Is it the formal, oh yeah, I got to have my hands, my elbow locked? No, not really. Because the truth is, and John says it, once you get advanced, you tend to naturally assume that going in, bringing that elbow, rotating around, the whole technique. So it is hard, even for advanced students, to remember to lock that elbow. But it does help you learn to rotate your body and not just the hand. Because this is not what you want to do. This is what you want to do. Okay? In fact, there's a nice exercise you can do, which is literally just following your fingertips all the way around in a figure eight, all the way around. Notice I'm not standing up here like this at attention. I'm letting my hips rotate, my knees rotate, just slowly following your fingertips. And it's very good for mobility. Okay? But this is essentially what you're doing. But again, in sword hands, the force is from your wrist, not your fingertips. But you do want to keep your fingers together, your thumb in, and that's just for basic safety. You put your hands out here, and a fight is all over if I get your thumb or your fingers. But if you do this, or just tighten up just a little bit. Don't have to be super hard. But there's just no way that I can get a hold of him. By the time I could possibly get him, you could easily smack me with the other hand. So that's just a good habit. Okay? Try a little bit more, and we'll move on. Okay. All right. Brought up a very good point. What happens if somebody's really tolerant? And I'm going to stand next to Ashley so she can hear explanation. But go ahead and explain what you're just saying.
So if you extend, and their hand, Chris is taller than I am, if he extends to a higher extent, only my hand is touching him, so I don't have as much power. And so it's important to keep that forearm so you have strength. So I'll have to slide in to compensate that Chris is taller than me. So then if I rotate and keep it back up, I don't want my fingertip to be at Chris. I want my forearm to be there because I have more power.
Absolutely. What she's saying is this is another reason why you're not out here at fingertips. You're basically, Chris, if you don't mind, you're basically going to adjust by stepping in. Well, guess what? Your hand's going to be higher than their shoulder level, and there's no reason why you can't be here. As he pushes around, I'm back on the inside, okay? Yeah, the tighter you are, the easier it is for me to beat you around. But her point is absolutely correct. I could be down this level, okay? And all I have to, put your hand up as tight as you can, okay? I can't pause, put up. Can't there? Well, guess what? And here I can. So if you see, even if I'm really, really short, all I have to do is move in, and then suddenly I am at that point. Well, if it was force on force, of course, it'd make it even bigger advantage. But if it's not force on force of his deflection, his pushing on me, his being bigger and stronger doesn't matter. I just rotate and deflect it away from me. So it's like throwing 500 pounds at you. If it doesn't hit you, it doesn't make a difference whether it's 500 or 1. If it can't hit you, it can't hurt you. Okay, so this is not force on force. This is avoiding force. And you're using sensitivity to learn how to deflect it. You're feeling where they are by touching. Otherwise, there'd be no reason even to touch them. But by touching, you get I get this position exactly where it's at, and she feels exactly where I'm at. You notice how her backhand, going back for a transfer, her backhand is catching. I mean, there's no way that I could come across, and because if I come in, she does this nice transfer. She's in close. There's none of this great big stepping around, and every time she moves, she's putting me at a disadvantage. It's called headache time, but not for her, for me. And it doesn't matter how fast or slow I move, because she just adjusts it. Again, asymmetrical rather than symmetrical dance. This is not a dance. This is a deflection art. Okay? You get advanced, and you'll start stepping on feet. And I step on her feet, she pops with her knees, and back on. So, it's both upper and lower. You found that it doesn't just stop up here. I see another thing. People up here and there's nothing down there. Well, if I come here, she moves around there in case I had a knife in my hand. It's all being deflected away. There's no chance that I can take this knife and stick her down low because her hands stay with me the whole time. Okay? She's even got better habit than I have keeping her hand up. Very good. Okay? Thank you. Are skills you have to practice. I don't care how much you intellectualize it, you've got to physically get this memorized. It's more than just muscle memory, it's whole body balance memory. So it does take hours of practice, not minutes. And it's a perishable skill, so you got to stay at it. The next one I'm going to talk about is something we call heavy hands. Now, heavy hands incorporates a lot of different little things, even at the basic level. Enemy to mind. It again, however, is sensitivity, but it's not sensitivity at this range like sword hands. It's sensitivity at this range. And one of the early drills that we can start with is basically rotating the elbow around like I'm going to try and hit. Well, he doesn't come here and slam elbows against elbows. Instead, as I come in, he'll bring the elbow up. So for example, if he comes across with his right elbow, I don't want to smash it here because that's going to bloody hurt me. Okay? Instead, I'm going to catch it and I'm going to bring it up and feel how I'm just rotating around on my elbow tip. Okay? It's the same way I'm coming across. As I move in, he just basically tries to rotate, frequently going underneath my elbow and deflecting it upward. Okay? Not so much downward, because that causes you to lock really down. Now the stance in heavy hands is heavier. It's not up on your toes, but it's not locked down here in a horse rider stance either. It's farther down, about center weighted, knees slightly bent. But again, you get this, okay? Now this is the very basic level, and I'm going to teach this to you, then I'm going to go to the moderate basic, and then we'll try to go to the advanced basic level. There is a whole advanced level again, which we're not going to get into today, but this is the basic. Okay? Try and get the sensitivity of your elbows. And you bring your elbow in, they intercept it, not force on force, not like this, but instead time it underneath. Okay? So that I can roll it, and I'm using my forearms, additionally the tip of my elbows, to protect myself. Okay? So in this case, you are bending your elbows. Okay? Our weight is center weighted. There's nothing wrong with pushing on him. But again, as I push, he deflects. Okay? Try that, please. If I come in to hit you, you don't want to go elbow to elbow. Instead, you want to come in and shoot it, push it up. Okay? So I come in here. Yep. Just intercept with your forearm and push up. Okay? If I came to blast you, see, then I really can't hurt you because you're deflecting it, not with your hand, but your forearm. You make contact, not square, but in a shooting thing up. Okay? And I'm rotating around. There you go. There you go. Loosen up. Stay loose. There. Very good. You can see it's a sensitivity thing. It's harder, a lot more force, but it's still sensitivity. Okay? Chuck was right when he just made a comment just a minute ago when he said it's still changing the focal point, but it's still sensitivity. It is. You are definitely changing the focal point from the whole arm to this region plus or minus the elbow. But the biggest mistake people make is that, and as Adam was saying, is they tend to sit down and then they want to stay here. No, this is still sensitivity and still moving. As he pushes at me, I'm still going to move. I'm still going to roll things. It is not designed to sit down. It's what we call a point or toss stance, which is just center weighted, but just slightly ahead of center point. So you're not super hard. Adam made the comment, it's kind of like you still got tacks in your heels, but you're down a little bit farther, and that's pretty close. But again, if you take the point of weight about the center of your foot, go up just maybe a millimeter or two, and then keep yourself from locking. So when he pushes on me, I bend. Okay? And this is, like I said, the very basic version of heavy hands. I'm going to now show you the second level, which is the moderate basic level. And the difference is this one is that I am going to bring my elbow inside here, like I'm going to scrape up his center line here, okay? So we're coming up here, and I'm coming in here, and I'm scraping up like that. Now, again, the defense of that would be to catch me and push up with your elbow. But if I can do it, it'd be like striking up. Now, just try not to block me so the camera can see once. Coming in here like this and coming up, okay? This would be the technique. And when he's got his hands in here, it doesn't come the same. You almost have to lock kind of linearly. Put your hands up, defense. Okay, you got to go up underneath, okay? So I'm now getting circular motions in like this, and I'm hooking it, kind of like this weird dance. But, in fact, this, we're fighting, and I want to strike him, I have to go underneath. I can't go through his hands. I can't even go over the top of his hands. But I can bring it in and strike like that, okay? But the other opposite direction is also true. We're coming across, and I can hook, and I can come down here like this, okay? So we're coming around, and I'm coming down like this, okay? Now, the defense on this one is the same, except now you're pushing down instead of lifting up like I told you before. Here, and pushing down. See that? Okay? Catch and push down. Okay? Coming back up. See how he intercepts. So we're putting both these two levels together. We're still under the moderate basic level of heavy hands. So heavy hands, it's got lots and lots of things in it. But if you put those two things together, I think you'll find that you now have the ability to use your elbows in close. So why don't you try that? Thank you. Yeah, but let yourself hook it more like this. Even more. Up, even. Bring your elbow. Come on, Rick. Please don't apologize. You're doing great. Thank you.
I prefer the closed eye feeling. In fact, I don't even go with the blindfold. I just kind of float.
Yeah. The third level of techniques we call sticky hands. Now, again, that depends completely on style. Some styles have called as rolling hands. They call it by a bunch of different names, and I really don't care. We just use it as a reference of what we're doing. We tend to start out with one hand. Adam, if you don't mind. Okay? But I've seen a lot of styles start out with two hands. We start out here, and again, other styles have started up like that. But the trick is, in one hand or two hands, is to be very sensitive, and as you move, once I can feel when he tightens, then I can push. Or I can pull. Okay? It has nothing to do, if he's totally loose and I push on him, then I've got no openings. I can feel that even though he's got even tension in his hand, his weight balance has not been affected. But as soon as it is, there. So, and he pushes on me, it just isn't going to work. Go ahead and push. But so sticky hands, again, is a situation of sensitivity. But in this case, you are actually feeling not just what they're doing to you, but their level of tension. And you can move in and you can move out. And it's very discreet. And Sensei Rick was absolutely right. One of the best things you can do to practice this is close your eyes. And I think you should practice on both sides, one hand, two hand. But I want to make one major statement. Even when we're pushing each other around, you didn't see me beating the squat out of him. I get so many people who are thinking, oh, the object is here, smack. Now, most of the time, I can't even hit him. But even if I could, this is not about hauling off and just hitting you. It's about feeling and moving. Now, I was overextended. He should have taken advantage. But you see my point? Yeah, you recovered well. But it's all about almost. But you didn't notice anybody smacking anybody. You run out of training partners if you beat the squat out of them. I'm sorry, not too many people really like it. The object is sensitivity. Learning when your opponent is tight. Learning when their opponent has got an opening. Because if he's totally loose, there's no openings. Why? You think that there would be. There's all these openings because he's got no defensive. But the second I move, he tightens. He deflects. But as soon as he tighten up, just a second. Okay? Now, his balance is off. His balance is locked. As soon as he's down, I have him. Why? Because he tightened his arms. He tightened his waist. And I can feel that. If you can't feel it with your eyes open, just take and close your eyes. Just close it and you can feel it. Okay? Thank you. Try that. Thank you, sir. Okay. Now, the last level we're going to do right now is push hands. And I don't care what school of Tai Chi or Chinese, you're going to find somebody who professes they know push hands. I'm going to say just the opposite. As much as I practice, I haven't a clue about the depths of push hands. Maybe someday, if I practice another 50 years, I might have a slightest clue on how to be really good at push hands. Right now, I'm worse than a rank amateur because every preconception I have gets in my way of doing it right. Actually, if you don't mind. But I'm going to tell you that we do things slightly different. And what I particularly do in push hands is when she pushes at me, I'm not going to just come back here and turn. I'm also going to drop my butt and draw. Now, one thing is very, very important is even if I push her, even to stay with, I push her back, if she doesn't lose her balance, if I just move the body, I've accomplished nothing. Okay? So this draw is designed not just to make her, but actually make her move. And what the draw relates to is if we're going on the street and you push her or punch me and I hit you, that's one thing. Come over here, that's nice. But if I drop and pull, I can send somebody flying. And that, in reality, to me is dramatically better than just simply deflecting and then trying to push you out. Okay, again, here draw and down. So what happens, we have a game we call bowling for jerks. And what that means is I'm basically taking somebody who's firing at me and not only stopping them or maybe deflecting back, but also taking them and deflecting them into somebody else, usually their buddies. If you take one guy who's running his mouth and you shove him into the face of two other ones, they tend to get pissed at him. Well, push hands for us is not this just nice, I'm back and forth. And yes, I am doing this technique, but we're also dropping and she's pulling. And my spine is horrible right now, so I'm bending forward and doing the things I'm telling you not to do. But coming back down, nice and flexible, and she draws. As I come in, I sink to me, and all the things that you know in push hands. But if she pulls on me, I can come step forward. She has not taken my balance. She's pulled on me, or she's pushed. Push straight back. Okay. Now to push again. If I lost balance, push, keep pushing, push. At no point am I losing balance. Keep pushing. Anytime I want to deflect, I back over. The trick is not to be doing this, not to be doing this. Keep your body centered. Learn to deflect force. Now, how does this relate to the other ones? If you go into push hands, if you don't mind, I'm going to go from push hands into sword hands. Push. It translates straight out. Push hands into heavy hands. Okay? Push, bam. You see the elbow strikes? Push hand into sticky hands. I came across. You didn't see, I don't think the camera could pick up the pressure point grab back there. She knew it. And she returns the favor to me a lot of times, I know. But you look at the knees. Okay? Your turn. Have a little revenge. Okay? Okay, so this is, she's primarily using heavy hands right here, but then she returns the favor. Okay? So, is this push hands? We think so, because I'm pushing not like this, but down like this, up, dropping my butt, pushing up. Okay? So, again, push hands. You're basically pushing forward. I'm not coming up here like this. I'm in fact coming down, sitting my butt down, rotating, sitting my butt down further and pulling. Return the favor, come back up, push up. She drops her butt, pulls on me backwards, and actually tries to pull me off balance. So what we're saying, and this is a horrible demonstration of classic push hands, but what it is more street practical about how do I deflect force and cause it to draw. If you want to have a nice, smooth tournament level of push hands, ignore everything I just said. If you want a street practical, this works. Okay? Thank you. Try this.